great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Tuesday, December 30th, year of our Lord, 2025, at least for a little longer. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it's 9:12 on the nose. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. And I can prove it because we're actually prosecuting criminals. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his incredible companies, have made us and kept us free. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers, who told us and codified that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use it. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. Well, this Bob Cordaro Show, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense and using it, not just having it, we're going to use it. Well, that's all about providing a sanctuary of sanity for you, because they're insane. They've gone insane on you. And, we've got to live with it. So here we are on Tuesday, December 30th. So it'll be my last broadcast of the year hanging around with you guys. And I'm off next week, which, when I say it, and believe me, I enjoy my vacations, but I hope you can appreciate how much I enjoy hanging around with you. And even the people who disagree with me, even the people who call me criminal and all that, I really enjoy hanging around with you. But today, we're going to have on at 10:05 Anna Giaritelli. Anna Giaritelli, she's Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner. And you know the lies that are being told constantly by the left and left-wing pundits. Well, she's done her reporting. Well, 70% of the illegal immigrants arrested by ICE under the Trump administration are either convicted criminals or individuals with pending criminal charges in the United States. So that's that deal. We'll talk a little bit about that, but just to disabuse you of the lies. And then at 11 o'clock, we got Dan Muser, our congressman. And he's going to be talking about, among other things, the Nobel Prize winner from Venezuela, and then our policies vis-a-vis Venezuela. It has been reported and semi-confirmed by the president that we struck what I guess would be considered a land-based target, stepping up this anti-drug campaign against Venezuela. So we'll see. We'll talk about a little bit about all of that with him and otherwise. So as we approach the end of the year, just think about it. I mean, let me know what you think of the year. I think it was a really great, exciting year. It was the start of turning this big ship called the United States of America around. We were being driven onto the shoals by a ghost captain. And I mean, it's almost impossible to believe how many bad things were happening. And by the way, this Somali fraud, which is in state after state after state, there's Haitian fraud in state after state after state. All of these things are mere symptoms of the sickness of the left-wing lunatic Democrat Party. I mean, could 2026 be the year? I don't think so, sadly. But be the year that normal people take the Democrat Party back? I doubt it. Crazy. Ginny C checking in. She said, take care and have a wonderful vacation and happy, healthy New Year. I will miss you. Well, I'm going to miss you too, Ginny. She said, when Cutie isn't looking, stick Lorraine and I in your suitcase. We're going to keep praying for you, Ginny. We want you to be well and to feel well. But remember what Fernando Lamas said. He was dying of cancer. Now, this is not Lorenzo, the son. This is Fernando, the old classic actor. Anyway, Johnny said, how are you doing? He says, you look good. He says, well, when he was dying of cancer, he said, well, you know, Johnny, it is better to look good than to feel good. So, Ginny, you remember that. As we take a break, Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Leonard Cohen, hallelujah, live in London, 2008, Murph tells us. Bob Cordaro back, and there's just a number of little items to touch on. And you feel free to join in, 570-883-0098 to call or to text. I want to take point of personal privilege. An old friend of mine passed away. And it was in Friday's newspaper, which I didn't see until today, so I missed her wake. And Mary Ellen Coleman. She passed away. A lot of you in the Scranton community would know her from Chamber of Commerce and a bunch of other things. She ran the billboard company up here. And she just did so much for the community. She was president, general manager of Lamar. And just a great, great, vivacious person. And I'm saddened that we lost her at age 79, December 21st. Funeral services yesterday. Mary Ellen Coleman, God bless. Rest in peace. All right, so let's get back to the nitty gritty. New York City. Now, this is prior to Mamdani. Now, we've told you about, and we're going to play a little ditty from Elon Musk later. That actually these nonprofits, these NGOs, they will be the death of us. I promise. And so what happens is that they continually get fed by government with your money. And here's another scam. We told you about all this funding. I'm also repeating John F. Kennedy. John Kennedy, our senator, who, by the way, I hope you're okay to indulge me on playing all of his clips together this morning. But here's the deal. New York City, this is how they operate. They're ready to pass a law. If you own an apartment building in New York City, you decide you're going to sell. The first thing you have to do is offer it to the city and nonprofits. Now, just imagine this. By the way, who's going to fund the nonprofits? Who's going to manage the building? Oh, yeah, the nonprofits and the NGOs. And they're going to pay themselves massive salaries. And you'll say, well, what does this person do for a living? Oh, well, they're with an NGO. It'll be called Affordable Housing New York City. You know, the typical generic name. Now, that 30 days, if you don't notify the city, you'll get fined $30,000. Now, anybody who's been in the real estate business knows that a 30-day delay can kill a deal. And that, by the way, that's just the notification portion of it. So they're going to enrich in New York City. The scam continues. They're going to enrich their company, their nonprofits. And this is what happens in federal government, state government, city government, consultants, lawyers. And I'm a lawyer. I have no qualm about them making money, but not my tax money. Consultants, lawyers, nonprofits, and non-governmental organizations. Draining us dry. New York City probably spends 20 to 30 billion a year through these entities. And what do they do in return? They support the candidacies of those who have given them the business. And it is an atrocious cycle Doge exposed that it's happening on an industrial level. They're stealing your money. You heard Senator Kennedy asking the Secretary White, Secretary of Energy, about the $93 billion that went out the door between last year's election and the inauguration of Trump. No business plans, no information, just a little sketch. Oh, yeah, we're going to help people. Okay, here's $3 billion, Stacey Abrams. This is the scam of our century. They make the Somalians look like pikers. And then they support the candidates and office holders who have made them well off, if not wealthy. That's item number one. It's going to accelerate. I want you to understand that this is the modus operandi. This is what they use to steal from you. That's why government's got to get cut back 50%, and then we'll look where to cut. Now, there's another story going around, and thank you to FHL for sending it to me. And I've been seeing it. And I'm even one of you who said, well, I hate to say Trump's right. Well, it appears as though Georgia, state of Georgia, in the 2020 election, had 315,000 illegally certified votes. Just think of it. By the way, that doesn't count Pennsylvania, where we had corrupt Attorney General Shapiro and corrupt Governor Wolf in charge at the time. So, bottom line, Trump was right. Trump was right. It's unbelievable. So I'm telling you, we play that song Mark Mayer provided for us, Levon Helms, because it's real. The battle is over, as in the 2024 election, but the war goes on. We'll take a break. We'll be back. We'll talk about some of our warriors after this. Our veterans tribute to this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga, friend of the veterans, friend of this country. Today, as we head into it's already the weekend, so to speak, we'll talk about Basiliga hospitality. 3 great bar restaurants. You can't get any better. Old Brook Inn, Far Street Tavern, Queen City Tavern. 2 fine dining restaurants, best in class. A Terra 519 and the Stegmeyer Mansion. Richard Rick Williams. We lost him December 13th. He was from Clark's Green. He's survived by his partner in life, Wendy Richards. Born in Scranton. Prior to retirement, he was the owner and operator of Williams Industrial Supply. He was an Army veteran, Eagle Scout, and Scout Master. Wow. In addition, he was a member of the Rotary Club of Scranton, the Clark's Green Council, Council of Governments, and Shade Tree Commission. In addition to Wendy Richards, also surviving 2 sons, Matthew with his wife and Douglas and his wife. There were grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Richard Dick Williams. Rick Williams. Philip Matone. He was 78 when we lost him, December 13th. He was from Blakely. Survived by his wife of 46 years, the former Ellen Hobbs. Phil Matone was born in Scranton, member of the United Baptist Church of Taylor. He was a graduate of the Taylor Music High School. He was also a veteran of the United States Navy, having served during the Vietnam War. Prior to retirement, he was a self-employed truck driver who often traveled cross-country. Volunteer for the March of Dimes and Junior Achievement. He and his wife enjoyed going to the Greater Scranton Y. In addition to his wife surviving, a daughter, 4 grandchildren. Tragically, Phil Matone was preceded in death by 2 sons, Jason and Philip, and a granddaughter. Philip Matone. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. From meteorologist Joe Snedeker and Channel 16, our weather brought to you by our good friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. The skiing is going to be great. The snowboarding, the tubing, outstanding because of this cold weather. Well, they're telling us today, cloudy and windy with flurries and snow showers, high, mainly in the 20s. 26 outside the studios now, but it feels colder. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 22. Wednesday, New Year's Eve day. Snow and clouds, chance of snow showers. We could see a dusting to an inch or 2 by evening, high of 30. Thursday, New Year's Day, partly cloudy and cold, high 25. All great days to ski, to snowboard, to enjoy the lodge, to tube, and enjoy everything Montage Mountain has to offer. Is that not two monster talents? Murph asked us to play Bing Crosby and David Bowie, Peace on Earth, Little Drummer Boy from 1977. Do you remember that they had one of the Christmas specials? I forgot to look for it. You can find all these things on YouTube, but they had the Little Drummer Boy, and they were the are they puppets? I forget what. Oh, claymation. They claymation dolls. And absolutely just a beautiful special, the Little Drummer Boy. And that song, it brings tears in my eyes every time I hear it, every time I play it. Somebody had requested it last week, and we couldn't get to it, so we got to it today. In any event, somebody said, heard the same nonsense about the election in 2020. All the claims were investigated back then. No, they weren't. The claims were not investigated. And somebody points this out. Poor Rudy, not somebody, Eric in Exeter points out. Poor Rudy Giuliani. The press destroyed this man's financial life. Remember, he's got $100 and some $1 million fine for defaming two political workers in Georgia who nobody knows their name. How defamation is having your character besmirched, and nobody knows who they are. So it's literally impossible. What the left-wing lunatics in Georgia did to Giuliani. And now it turns out, at least in part, he's correct. There was fraud in Georgia. Well, as if we didn't know that. As if we didn't know that. Somebody else texted, actually, it's still Eric. I remember early December 2020, how all the media, including hosts on WILK, who called everyone conspiracy theorists regarding Georgia irregularities. Yep. Navy guy on that New York City law. Bob, it has to be unconstitutional to force a private party to sell private property to a certain entity first. It has to be. It has to be. God bless you, Sir Bob, ALTS. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, says Pastor Mitch. Pastor Mitch, you did great work over the holidays. Thank you. Somebody else, Bob asked, Muser, any luck with Trump and the rain tax? Many places not paying. I don't know if we'll get into it. I will promise you this. It's never top of mind. I'm sorry. I don't have to pay it. And I should care more about it, but I don't. It's just being truthful with you. I will ask him privately about it and hopefully report back to you. Now, the same troll saying which one wasn't investigated. All of the claims were not investigated. Here's what happened. This is the truth. I don't care what I mean, most of you didn't follow it. You just listened to what the reportage was. All of these lawsuits, and one of the keys was Rudy Giuliani was washed up as a lawyer and was more of a politician than a lawyer. I'm sure he was a great lawyer at one time. He misfiled and screwed up filings and didn't file things on time. There was never a hearing on the merits on the 2020 election. Never. All these things got rejected for procedural matters. Never got to the heart of the matter. Now, remember what I say about 2020 election. We know. That's right. Somebody points out, Georgia is the one admitting this, by the way. Not me. I'm not making it up. It's not a media report. Georgia is admitting it. 315,000 uncertified votes cast and counted. Now, let's go back. Here's what you can say about 2020. It was an absolute mess, number one. Number two, there were concerted efforts on multiple levels to steal the election from Trump on behalf of Joe Biden. Number three, we can't prove that it changed the results. I know what I believe. It did. And I just want you to think, take the lens of Donald Trump out of it, take scumbag, sickening Joe Biden out of it. If you were to tell me that Joe Biden, by a mile, is the most popular presidential candidate in history, you need to check into a mental institution. And that's what you're trying to tell me when you say that he won. Period. Unbelievable. It's what is, guys. And again, wouldn't you want to know? Because maybe the horrible Nazi Republicans could do it to you in the future. This is the part I don't understand. Like in Minnesota, let's not talk about the Somali fraud. Let's talk about Donald Trump and his evilness. It's insane. You're telling me you don't care? That's what Democrats are saying. Certainly Democrat leaders. Unbelievable. Somebody points out Ruby Friedman and Wandrea Moss are the names of the women defamed by Rudy Giuliani. Are they running around with like Bubble Boy? Everybody hates them? Ridiculous. $100 and some million. Unreal. All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Robert Michael, Christmas lights on Church Street, and he means Jessup. That's where he's from. Local artist. Hey, Tommy P is on patrol. Well, he's not sure if he's going to patrol today. So we may have to do this remotely, but he's going to be 65 tomorrow. He's a New Year's Eve baby. Tommy P. Happy birthday there, brother. Great job. And if you get out to patrol, he's very reliable on this front. So, Mother Teresa. We've got two Mother Teresas for today. Let me find my Mary Perry texts. Okay. And she said, you've got to read them both because you won't be here tomorrow, so they're both great, and you have to do it. And they're always great, as you know. Mother Teresa for December 30th. She says, the first requirement of prayer is silence. People of prayer are people of silence. And I take that to be true, except when you're on the radio. December 31st. This is for her New Year's Eve wish and her New Year's Eve statement. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not yet come. We have only today. Let us begin. Saint Teresa, Mother Teresa. Thank you, Mary Regina. Thank you for sending both, by the way. Somebody text in. I do have to give you credit for being the funniest host on WILK. Well, I'll take that. I will take that. And I think you're a pretty funny person, too, that you still believe the nonsense you believe. Somebody else, well, this is one of the trolls. Trump screwed up the COVID response is the reason he lost in 2020. He didn't screw it up. He listened to the idiots. And then when he started to realize, hey, these people don't know what they're doing. This doesn't make any sense. It was too late, but the other part of it was, and this is the reason you're partially right. He lost because tons of votes were stolen. You're never going to shake me from that belief, and I've developed that over years. We were actually prohibited from saying it on the station at the time, but the only thing I can say is I can't prove it. I'm saying I can't prove that the election was stolen. I could prove they tried to sell it or steal it. And by the way, don't forget this. On top of all the localized fraud in places like Georgia and Pennsylvania and Michigan, and Wisconsin, on top of all the localized fraud, there was a national effort to the tune of $419 million run by Mark Zuckerberg, financed by Mark Zuckerberg. The entire operation was illegal. They went to the key counties in the key states, and they supplemented, which is illegal. They supplemented and gave them staff and assistance for their election bureaus. Oh, yeah, that didn't sway any votes. $419 million. A bunch of left-wing nonprofits actually running the voter bureaus in the key counties in the election. That was even worse than the localized stealing, which happens all the time. So Trump didn't screw up but let's go back to the initial point. He didn't screw up the COVID response. Based on the advice he got, he actually did okay. But the second part was he couldn't shut his stupid mouth. He saw Andrew Cuomo, who went on to win an Emmy, if you can imagine this, the disgraced fool. He saw Andrew Cuomo getting rave reviews for his television appearance, and Donald Trump and his little ego said, oh, I could do TV way better than Andrew Cuomo, and he decided to go on every day. And he decided to think out loud every day. Like, you're supposed to ask dumb questions. It's actually a sign of confidence to ask dumb questions. But you don't do it in front of the international media. And because his ego had to be satisfied that he was better on TV than Andrew Cuomo, and I've said this, as much of a disgrace as Cuomo is, thank him for the election. I was in prison at the time. I had to watch the briefings every day on CNN of Andrew Cuomo. It was revolting if you actually knew what he was saying and doing. But it was a great performance, and Trump sucked at it. And he talked too much, and it eroded some of his support, which might have overcome the cheating, but didn't get it done. So we agree in small part on that point. Somebody said, I saw and heard with my own ears Trump trying to overthrow election results right up to January 6th. No, he was trying to overthrow fraudulent votes. There's a big difference. There's a huge difference. Fraudulent votes, to have them thrown out. The left is exhausting. The Trump derangement syndrome is exhausting. They just won't look at any facts. By the way, if James Carville, that goofball, was ever in charge of the Biden campaign, he would have admitted, hey, we stole that election really good, didn't we? Music Man texted and he says, Bob, Happy New Year. Thanks for the work on the show for our great veterans. Great work always. I wish you would come to my gym, which is the epicenter of Trump derangement syndrome, and listen to all the regurgitated CNN, MSNBC crap they repeat. We don't need another COVID jab. We need a vaccine for TDS. I'm with you. And you have a great new year, and I will try to stay on the radio station if I can. If George Soros doesn't fight me or fire me, or Alex Soros, I'll be here. Okay, Music Man. Hey, my Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:01. You know what that is? Time for the news. When we come back on the other side, Anna Giuritelli. She's with the Washington Examiner. We're going to talk about who these people are that ICE is picking up. We'll take a break and be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:07 here in the great Northeast this frigid but beautiful Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basilica and his great Basilica Hospitality Group, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we honor this day, thanks to John. We lost them, but celebrate them. Philip Matone, Blakely, Rick Williams, Clark's Green, Robert Green, Hazleton, Joseph Cavallari, Valley View, John Jack Delaney, Pittston, and Harry Weiss, Danville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle by gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will indeed provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you, where a significant portion of the country and an entire political party have gone insane. We need this. We need this badly. Well, I mentioned to you, and we interview their reporters quite often. They're great. Anna Giratelli. She's the Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner. And you're hearing this insanity about ICE. They're breaking up families. Dear Lord. We just had a guy in Montour. Been in the country for years. Owned some businesses. Same thing up in the North Pocono area. And they didn't do what they were supposed to do to become naturalized or legal. And they got taken away. And it's a shame. But none of these people are saying, isn't it a shame they didn't do what they should have done? Instead of saying, well, it's a shame what this ICE is doing. Well, let's talk to Anna Giratelli about all of this. How are you, Anna? Welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Hey, thanks so good for having me. Thanks so much for having me. I'm good.
Well, yes, I like to ask multiple questions, and then you have to figure out which one to answer. Well, all right, so you're Homeland Security reporter for Washington Examiner, and you've looked into this. And between January 20th and December 11th, about 595,000 illegal immigrants were arrested. Talk to us about who these people are.
So information provided to me by the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE, oversees Border Patrol, shows that 70% of that 595,000 are either convicted criminals or people who have been arrested, charged, and are going through the legal process. And those are for crimes that's not related to immigration. And those are also things that are not traffic offenses, as we see a lot of pushback typically from immigrants' rights groups. These are 7 in 10 people who have been arrested by federal immigration authorities have some sort of criminal history. That's just the simple fact of it.
All right, and do you have any reason to doubt that? You cover this.
You know, there's always going to be loopholes, and there's certainly many different ways that I'm seeing other reporters from different outlets covering this, trying to paint it worse or better than it is, right? I think what's really interesting is the 30%. I shared with me that it's not that the 30% others didn't have criminal histories. They didn't have criminal histories in the United States. And that's what was such a concern with the border crisis under President Joe Biden. Border Patrol doesn't know when someone comes over the border. Let's say you're from Venezuela. We don't know your criminal history. Certain countries like Cuba, they're not sharing their internal databases, their criminal databases with the United States. Some countries that we're friendly with do share that, and they're on visa waiver lists. And so we have better relations with them. But during the Biden administration, we had millions of people coming across. Border Patrol did not have the information it needs, and so it just had to release people into the country and say, well, they don't have a criminal history in the U.S., but we don't know who they are. Now, the worst of the worst, we might know through global tracking systems like Interpol. But what they were sharing with me was examples, and I can give you some examples of people who were arrested by ICE, didn't have a criminal history in the U.S., but actually had criminal history back home or were affiliated with terror groups.
Now, you're based in Austin, Texas. You've been to the border over 60 times. I mean, you've seen this up front and up close.
I have, yes. I was down there under the first Trump administration, through the Biden administration, and I'm headed back there next week.
All right. Now, when they say, for example, if in sanctuary cities, which makes it obviously more difficult, sanctuary states, which makes it more difficult for ICE to do its job, does that, I've heard the argument, it actually leads to more non-criminals getting arrested because they've got to do sweeps instead of targeting.
You're right. Yeah, I spoke with the White House border czar, Tom Homan, right after President Trump won the election last November. And Tom said to me, you're going to see collateral arrests. It's just inevitable. We go in, and what a sanctuary city does is this. They say, we're not going to turn over 90% of criminals in our jails to ICE. We don't want to participate. It's not our problem. There's legal concerns, all that. And so for 90% of criminals, except for the very worst of the worst, ICE sees you get arrested, you're in the country illegally, you're arrested for, say, assault. They'll put a request into that local jail and say, please hold this person for us for 48 hours after they're supposed to be released. We'd like to come get them. And the local jail will say no, and they will release them. And so that then prompts ICE to go into the community, and typically not days after they're released, but months, even years, I've seen, go into the community to try to track that person down. They try to get them typically walking between two places, which is why you see so many arrests out on the street that look very random, but they're all very calculated. And yeah, like you said, they'll go in looking for someone else. They'll do immigration checks if other people are around. And that's where you get the collateral arrests.
Anna Giratelli is our guest. She's Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner. So do they have enough people in ICE? And I know they're recruiting now. Mayor Bass of Los Angeles is upset about it. They're recruiting because there are so many people that need to be removed because of Biden's sickening, asinine policies that there just aren't enough people to do the job.
Yeah, no, frankly, absolutely not. ICE is still going to be considerably understaffed. And ICE has two different parts, right? They have investigators, and then they have the enforcement and removal operations arm. There's only 6,500 of those officers who go after people, and that's why they've brought in a couple hundred Border Patrol agents from the border to help out. They brought in ATF and FBI from DOJ to also come in and help out. But they're still significantly understaffed. You have 14 million people as of 2023 who were residing in the country illegally. Even if you go after the worst and the worst, Trump has estimated that's between 500,000 and 1 million. 6,500 versus 1 million people is a huge difference. And with the amount of time I've gone out with ICE so many times, they're not saying, oh, someone just got arrested, let's go get them, let's find them. It takes so much preparation and work, and so many officers, especially if this is a really dangerous person. They're not sending in five officers. They're sending in maybe a team of 20 or something. Yeah. So it takes so much work to get one person that not being able to take people out of jails, it's forced them to go into communities. It just makes it more difficult all around. And it's ironic, right? Because they're going into communities because they can't go to jails. It sort of defeats the whole argument of the left that they're trying to protect communities.
Well, you've touched on something that I'm curious about. And we're talking with Anna Giratelli. She's the Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner. Have you heard any non-emotional, sensible arguments against ICE doing its job. I haven't.
I have. It was actually Sheriff Gary McFadden. He's from Charlotte's Mecklenburg County. I believe it's the most or second most populated county in North Carolina. And he shared with me, I think it was last Christmas, a really long answer why he doesn't work with ICE. And it came down to it being a legal issue. And it was a perspective I hadn't heard before, right? It wasn't animosity towards ICE. Or not wanting to do their job. He said, I would like to participate, but legally, if we let someone out and we hold them beyond the time that we're allowed to hold them, we're in a serious legal issue. And the story is up online, but it was a really interesting argument that made me see it, from a new perspective as well. But I think the problem is,
not to argue with him or through you, the ICE detainer is a legal document which allows you to detain them further.
It's a request, and it's not a legal document.
Okay.
It's not anything that they have to listen to, right? It's their request. They're asking, please detain this person, but they're not going to the sheriff or the local police department jail with a warrant. And so ICE is making most of its arrests of people and requests to hold people in jail for them under what's called an administrative warrant, which is not a document. It's more of, we have authority to arrest this person, so we're going to. And the sheriff is saying, you need to have a judge sign a criminal warrant. That's what you actually need for us to hold someone.
Okay. And
so short of that, he doesn't feel like he's on legally stable ground to actually hold these people.
Boy, some common sense from the other side. I don't, and I can't disagree with that based on what you've just told me. All right, so there's some. So why isn't everybody using that argument?
I think you're right. Like we need more people from like the sheriff to explain, as well as the right, from a non-emotional perspective, why should police have to cooperate with ICE, and why should ICE expect or not expect cooperation? I think like the sheriff put that into words really well, but we need more of that rather than just the emotional arguments on both sides.
And that brings us, Anna Giratelli, that brings us to Illinois. About 1,700 felons were released, illegals, felony level illegals were released into the communities by the state of Illinois. I mean, that's obviously not a safe situation.
And that's exactly why ICE and Border Patrol were, enhancing their operations, doing more in Chicago and Illinois in general, because DHS Secretary Christine Ohms said a couple months ago that, if you're not going to hold people, you're going to release them, then you're making more work for us. You're prolonging how long we're going to be in Illinois finding these people you've released.
Anna Giratelli, what do you see, and because it's still a developing story, what are the political and operational implications heading into the new year?
The Trump administration sort of was dealt a victory in that they're touting that nearly 2 million people have self-deported. That means they weren't arrested by ICE or Border Patrol. They chose to voluntarily leave the country. I'm not convinced that the numbers they have are accurate. There's been some concern they're not right. But all that to say, that's something that the Trump administration has been honest from the very beginning. We're trying to scare people into leaving the country on their own so we don't have to go find them and pay $17,000 a person to remove them. I think that's been a really big thing for them, to have people actually choosing to leave the country that they weren't expecting in year one. I think year two, we're already seeing House Democrats trying to prohibit local police that do work with ICE from doing so going forward. There's over 1,200 police departments in the country, local and state, that have said we want to work with ICE to get their job done, to make it easier for them. And so Democrats are looking at how can we limit ICE. They're not in our jail so much, but how can we make it harder to do that? And I think the Trump
Did
administration
they say
is looking
why?
at
Why?
they did they say they don't want they don't they no they their argument yesterday was that local police are focusing more on federal immigration duties and not focusing on public
Lord.
safety and being available in communities. So
I could just picture the idiots saying these things because we've heard it all before. Where are the American people on this, at least at this moment?
from polling, it looks like the public is divided and slightly less favorable on Trump's immigration approach as a whole now compared to when he took office in January.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But certainly Republican support is still there. I think part of the concern, Bob, is that Trump has vowed to go after the worst of the worst. And I was talking with someone from a conservative immigration group last week, and he was saying the issue with that is that you then tell the public to expect we're only going to get the worst of the worst. So when you do make these arrests of someone who, you know, isn't a criminal or something, or, you know, just illegally entered the country or overstayed a visa, that sort of thing, you prompt more pushback from the public because they're only expecting to see the worst removed. And so it's sort of gone both ways there.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. And when this country is at an obvious inflection point, when enforcing the law is subject to political debate. It really, it's a crazy place.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
And you're in the middle of it, and we look forward to hearing from you again, and thank you for your information. I feel better that we could say, hey, 70% are criminals, and that doesn't even count their overseas criminal records. That's a statistic I could live with for sure.
And we have to be careful in how we phrase that, right? Because it's 70% have criminal histories, which just means some are convicted and some have been arrested and charged but not found guilty.
Okay.
So technically 35% have been convicted. But yeah. And so, you know, we'll continue to see what year 2 of President Trump's administration holds, if the criminal rate is going to go up or if it's going to stay the same or go down.
Well, Anna Giratelli, that's why I'll live with it, because they aren't supposed to be here in the first place. All right. Well, Anna Giratelli, Homeland Security reporter for Washington Examiner, we thank you for coming on the Bob Cordaro Show and look forward to your updates through next year.
Thanks so much, Bob. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our friend John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group as we head towards another long weekend of party time. Think Basiliga Hospitality, like the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern in the great Trips Park section of West Scranton, and the Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. And don't forget fine dining. I'll be hitting there this weekend. A Terra 519, downtown Scranton, and the Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Two transporting experiences. Joseph Cavallari. We lost him December 9th. His family says, being a Marine Corps veteran and Formula One driver, he will be playing taps for himself as he gets ready for a game of golf. His pit crew will be waiting for him. He will be missed by all whose lives he touched. He'll be joining his mother, Sarah, his father, Joseph, and brother, Alan, leaving behind all who loved him dearly, including his sisters, his in-laws, nieces, and nephews. The family says you are now free of pain, Joseph. Goodbye. All who knew you will miss you. Joseph Cavallari. Robert Green. He was 94 when we lost him December 13th. He was from Hazleton. Born and raised in that city. He was a member of the Hazleton High School class of 1949. He went on to earn a degree in commerce and finance from Penn State University. He furthered that education with a master's degree in economics and finance from Bucknell. He proudly served in the United States Army from 1954 to 1956, including military service in both the U.S. and Japan with the Army Security Agency. After that, he began a distinguished career in 1959 at Mutual of New York as a benefit consultant, eventually rising to the role of vice president. In 1978, he transitioned to Spring Garden College in Philadelphia, where he served as vice president for administrative services until retiring in 1991. He was also director of the Hazleton Center of Lackawanna Junior College. Lifelong devout Catholic, he was a member of St. Pius of Petrokina Parish Church of St. Gabriel. He served on the boards of Can Do, Greater Hazleton Philharmonic, and shared 61 years of marriage with his beloved wife, Anna T. Ferrara Green, loving father to his 3 children and his 5 cherished grandchildren. Those who knew Robert will remember him for his gentle demeanor, warm smile, and quiet sense of humor. Robert Green. Our veterans brought to you this hour by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. And our weather report brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain. It's ski season, baby. You can ski. You can snowboard. You can snow tube. You can just enjoy the fire or enjoy the bar at Montage. They're open, baby. Today, cloudy and windy with flurries and snow showers, says Joe Snedeker. High mainly in the 20s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 22. Wednesday, New Year's Eve day, snow and clouds, chance of snow showers. We could see a dusting to an inch or two by evening, high 30. Thursday, New Year's Day, partly cloudy and cold, 25 degrees. That's your weather brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. Perry Como. Murph tells us he came out with that great song in 1954. Bob Cordaro back. Somebody texted in, well, one of the trolls. Cato Institute reports 73% have no criminal record. This lady says 70 cents, but then backtrack. No. See, you're not capable of listening. The lefties aren't capable of listening. It's incredible. Why do you live like this? Seriously. Why do you want to live like this? It's just scary. Absolutely scary. And again, here's another interpretation from the same troll. It's Joe Biden's fault that Trump can't hire enough officers. Ha ha. Who said that? And the same person. That's the whole sanctuary city agreement. You just agreed that it makes sense. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm lauding the fact that someone has an actual argument. Hey, I can't detain them, the sheriff says, beyond their prescribed dates to facilitate an ICE arrest. At least it's a legal argument. I was lauding for very little. This sheriff fits the saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. This guy's actually trying to make a legal argument. I didn't say he was right. My God. Unbelievable. Like, here's what, and I've talked to you guys about this before. Here's what the left does. And those who are dumb enough to follow them. They look for something like, Tom Homan took $50,000. What? First of all, even if that is true, which I don't believe it is, even if it's true, what does that have to do with ICE arrests? Seriously. Again, here, look at the shiny object over here. They are unbelievable. They will not make a direct argument. And when they try to make one, they have to lie to set the facts in their space so they can argue from there. It's unbelievable. It's actually, and this is what they do. Well, Trump is evil. Well, we don't want to stop drugs because Trump is evil. We don't want to stop illegals from coming into this country and kick the ones the scumbag let in. Scumbags. Because Trump is evil. They're fascists. They're following the law. This country, it tells you how deeply we've descended. This country actually has, maybe 35, 40%? Most of them just dumb, stupid followers and regurgitators. But has this massive percentage of people who have a problem with enforcing the law. I just think how insane that is. Think how far we've descended. They're not saying, by the way, they're not saying, well, we don't like the law, but, I guess you got to do it. They're saying, why are you bothering these people? Why are you breaking up these families? All of that lies. They're not bothering anybody. They don't even ask, why did you come into the country illegally? Why didn't you try the legal way? We let hundreds of thousands of people in this country legally every day, every year. Why don't we ask that? How are the questions framed in such an asinine way? Normal people who some are just certainly ignorant of fact, and they're listening to people that are stupid. And they're saying, what are you doing? We had the dishwasher arrested in Dunmore. It's a shame. He had a daughter going to Dunmore schools. I'm sure he was paying withholding taxes. I'm not sure of anything. Let me step back from that statement. And I have no problem with, by the way, in any event. Guy's been here a number of years, and it was a sad situation. But what are we trying to say? Oh, you could stay here illegally even if you miss 2 hearings? And then we're angry at Donald Trump and ICE for enforcing the law when the person in question didn't do anything to make themselves legally here. They ignored the law. It's unbelievable. It's frightening. It's frightening that people will allow themselves to be that ignorant and not actually think through this. It goes back to the stop sign analogy. Keep letting them roll through the stop sign. And I don't mean roll through like, put the brakes on and be ready to stop. Let them roll through. And let's see how many people eventually get killed or harmed. I don't understand it. Well, then get rid of the stop signs. And let chaos reign. And I am one who is for legal immigration. And in addition to that, I've watched, they're either recent immigrants, they might have been illegal immigrants. I've watched them working as landscapers and various jobs, dishwashers, all that. Many of them are incredible people. So why are we trying to fight to keep them here as illegals instead of these groups fighting to make them legal? They don't even want to, there's not even paying attention to the system, not even paying attention to the laws. No, let's keep the illegal alien here. Let's not make him a legal alien. What is that about? We disagree with laws that don't comport with our feelings. That's the Democrat Party. If the law doesn't comport with our feelings, we will not follow it. Period. Now, if there's massive fraud and Joe Biden gets elected, we're fine with the fraud. We'll never look into it. We'll just ignore it. If it's illegal immigrants stealing billions of dollars through government fraud, we'll let it go. I'm not understanding where they're coming from. I really don't. But when Trump wins or a Republican wins, like Stacey Abrams, well, then the election's illegitimate. And Hillary says it. And Maxine Waters said it. And the rest of the goofballs say it. It's amazing. Somebody says, your guest stated how much, one of the trolls, how much resources go into ICE picking up an illegal. I think she quoted 17,000 per. The worst should be on the top of the list. They're all gone, then go after the others here illegally. Well, when you go, you weren't listening. Again, being a troll, you don't listen. You're incapable of it. Or you refuse to. When they go into a place, Others get swept up, particularly, by the way, if it's a sanctuary city. People associating with the illegal, criminal, get picked up as well because of sanctuary city policies, by the way. You missed that part, did you? Yeah, obviously. We'll take a break and be back. That's Cat Matthews, Peckville's Cat Matthews. Snow on a Christmas morning. And I don't know, while I was listening to 1936, United Auto Workers staged its first sit-down strike at the General Motors Fisher Body Plant in Flint, Michigan. Strike lasted until February 11th. Now, I just found it interesting. It's like anything that mankind touches. This is the human condition. And you think back to the mine workers' unions, all of that. How essential workers' unions were to getting workers their rights, how essential they were to protecting workers in this country. Even, by the way, government employee unions. Because politicians they're just awful people as a general rule. And so the unions were necessary to protect people. Civil service was necessary to protect people. But then the unions got perverted by human drives. They want power. They want this. They want that. They don't want to work. We've lost factories in this country to foolish union policies. And all of a sudden, the union leaders are getting paid $600,000 and $700,000 and more. And they're pursuing political agendas that have nothing to do with the workers they're supposed to represent. That's particularly prevalent in public employee unions. So everything gets perverted. It's got to be torn down, and you got to start again everywhere. That's human nature, dictates that reality. So let's talk about legal versus illegal immigration for just a moment. There's a thing, Officer Tatum. I follow Officer Tatum on Instagram. He's a former cop, African-American. And here's what he says. Not the American dream. 89% of Somali immigrant households with kids are on welfare. 86% are still on welfare after 10 plus years. Now, when I say that you can't take people in from broken countries and cultures, here's the proof in the pudding. By the way, that's separate from the billions of dollars they've stolen as a group. That's because they don't respect anything. It's just a matter of which scam is the best. Well, the best place to scam is the United States because there's so much money they don't even pay attention. The best place in the country are places like Minnesota because they don't pay attention. In fact, they're bending over backwards for us to be on welfare and to steal. And they think they actually contribute to the country. Not even close. How could you contribute to a country when you don't even know what a country is? How could you contribute to civilization in the world's leading nation when you don't know what civilization is? They just shouldn't be here, period. And if they're here, and those that are already here legally, you've got mass education, re-education. This country's not about scams. It's about opportunities. This country's not about white liberal insanity. It's about opportunities to make yourself better, to have a great life. It's not about guarantees. Bugs Ourselves says, tell the trolls and mush-brained fools to go down to the border and try crossing into Mexico illegally. Let us know how their day goes. And he continues, 1.3 million we accept on an annual basis is pretty commendable as a country. Yes, it is. And by the way, I go further to say The vast majority, probably not Somalian, by the way. I couldn't make that statement. Maybe I could make the statement a majority of Somalians are here for the right reasons and want to do the right things and work hard and become Americans. I could probably say the majority. I don't know. It's so bad, I don't know. But back to a statement I think I interrupt myself on. The people who come to this country, and I watch them work, man, they're a huge credit to this country. Will get here legally, be taught our culture, be taught our way of life, and you'll be even more valuable. And this statement to me is unassailable. We need immigrants. We need immigrants. It has benefited this country. It's made us the greatest country ever. Been a big part of our success. But then when you get idiots who pervert that fact to say, let them all come in, give them all whatever they want, don't make them struggle, and don't pay attention if they steal. Don't pay attention if they commit crimes. Where's that go? Where does that lead us? To insanity. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch says 11 o'clock. That means we got to go to the news. Bob Cordaro Show. We'll be back with Congressman Dan Muser. great good morning, everyone. My Bacardo's Jeweler watch tells me it's 11:07 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful but frigid Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Robert Greene of Hazleton, Joseph Cavallari, Valley View, Philip Matone, Blakely, Rick Williams, Clarks Green, Jack Delaney, Pittston, and Harry Weiss, Danville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. And I want to repeat two things. I didn't mention the one yet. I've been getting these reports, and when somebody sends me an email, and thank you for everybody, I will try to track it down. And once I track it down and confirm it, and they're not always confirmed, it's internet stuff. But once I'm comfortable with it, I'll state it on the air. And it turns out Fox News is reporting, and thank you to FHL and Robin for this, a new report from the Housing and Urban Development revealed $5.8 billion in questionable rental assistance payments, including funds allegedly sent to 30,000 deceased tenants. Now, let's combine that what I said from Officer Tatum at the end of the last hour. 89% of Somali immigrant households with kids are on welfare. 86% are still on welfare after 10 years. What is that all about? What do we do with that? That's in addition to the theft of billions of dollars that they've helped organize. By the way, somebody texts in, Bob LTS, how do I get information to you about a Vietnam vet to be honored that recently passed away? You could go snail mail. And that is to Bob Cordaro at WILK, Route 315, Pittston Township. What is it, Bulldog? 18640. 18640. Pittston 18640. Or you can email me at Robert.Cordaro, Cordaro, at Odyssey, AUDACY.com. If you went on our website, the address will be there too. To spell Odyssey correctly, spell my name correctly. Yeah, John Perillo texting in, he wants more Rodney. I can't get enough of that guy. He is the best. He's hilarious. His humor will never get old. And speaking of that, we've got a great congressman. We've got two great congressmen in this listening area. And one who is the senior member of the chamber for us is Dan Muser. And he follows everything for us, and we love having him on. And here he is. First of all, Congressman Muser, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Bob. Great to be with you. May the sanctuary of sanity and your club of common sense live on even stronger into 2026.
Well, thank you. That's a very kind wish. I appreciate it.
I wish I would have had a Rodney Dangerfieldism. He actually went to my high school back in Long Island. So, yeah, he and I are two. Well, he's a notable. I'm a guy who played some football, went to some classes, and moved on to Pennsylvania.
Well, you've done your best work in Pennsylvania. That I will tell you. Now, Dan Muser, you contacted us about this one by the name of Machado from Venezuela, who was given the Nobel Peace Prize. Talk to us about her and what that shows for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, an absolutely amazing woman. She won the Nobel Peace Prize, Maria Corina Machado. She was a politician there. She has a family. She did everything she possibly could to keep down the previous Chavez and then the Maduro regimes. And she's been very outspoken, and she won the Nobel Peace Prize. And by the way, she named the Peace Prize in honor. She accepted it in recognition and in honor of President Trump. Because, and I know the left, anything like that, my goodness, they need to hate Machado now, was because she felt he was the only president that's taken the Venezuelan situation seriously. And by seriously, I mean, she says it's already been invaded. It's been invaded, and she's very clear and she's very specific, by the Russians. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Russians are in South America, by the Chinese, through crazy loans and grants and just confiscating area, by, and particularly, the narco terrorists. We name them the narco terrorists. We name them terrorists so as they could be treated as terrorists because they're killing tens of thousands of Americans. But you know what? First of all, so what's going on in Venezuela is a total disaster. This woman is a hero and trying to fix it. But what's unbelievably disturbing, and we're seeing it now with the Minnesota fraud, and we're always seeing it, is how the media, and I mean 90% of them, showed her for a momentarily until she started mentioning Trump. They don't even talk. They do not show the full story. They don't talk about what's really happening in Venezuela, that it's a gangland, that there's human trafficking, that there's executions, that there's murder. Bob, we have reports that tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dissenters to the Maduro regime are being murdered. And here we are. Here the president is finally doing something, or from other presidents anyway. He claimed a war on drug cartels the moment he came into office, which of course I encouraged, and many did, Mayorkas and Biden, Sleepy Joe, to do something about. They did nothing. And 60% or in that neighborhood of the cocaine, the left likes saying, the fentanyl is not coming from there. Well, you know what? The cocaine is laced with fentanyl. It's killing people. So many kids are not taking fentanyl. They think young people, whomever, are taking cocaine, and it's laced with fentanyl, and that cocaine is coming from Venezuela. Tens of thousands of Americans are being killed because of what's occurring in Venezuela, and we're blowing up the boats as they're trying to deliver it. The only story they tell is the side of how terrible it is. We're blowing up these boats. How dare we? Yet with no story at all behind what's truly happening in Venezuela.
Well, and they'll see the boats with 4 and 5 power engines, and they'll see that they're basically cigarette boats, just not expensive ones.
Right.
And they'll say they were fishing. What?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Bob, the left is upside down and backwards. And ladies and gentlemen, as we move into 2026, remember that saying, I don't know, forget what movie, be afraid, be very afraid. If these folks take over, okay, they're looking at federalizing our elections, opening up the borders, impeaching the president, doing anything they can to stop us and grow the size of government, and do nothing, as they've been doing, on waste, abuse, and fraud. What we're seeing in Minnesota is probably the worst case of waste, abuse, and fraud, particularly fraud, maybe in the history of our country. I mean, billions of dollars being allocated via Tim Waltz, knowing what was happening to businesses. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars in PPP during the Biden administration, billions of dollars in excess SNAP going to feed the people, or whatever the name of the Feeding Our Future organization, that nobody worked there and all they did was dole out cash to each other, to daycares. We saw the daycares. They didn't even bother. They're so unassimilated to the United States. They didn't even bother spelling learning center.
The Leering Center.
Right? You saw that. It was Leering Center. Shell companies. The SBA is in on this. That's the committee I have oversight on. So we're working on that. And yet, what are you seeing now from the left? Now, the fraud's terrible. Now they're saying we're deliberately going after Somalians. Okay? No, we're deliberately going after the fraud. That's what we're doing.
Well, I think you could adopt the line, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Well, why do you go after Somalians? Because that's who's stealing it.
No question. They live in a little pocket there in the Twin Cities. There's about 80,000 of them or so. And look, I got no problem with anybody, okay? Come to America, keep your nationality, but embrace being an American. Make the best of yourself. It is the land of opportunity, all of that. Don't come here and bring your Somalian corruption to our government. And thankfully, we have a federal government that is now going to do something about it, even though Waltz and his blue state minions did nothing about it. And I'll tell you what, this could just be the beginning. I mean, we do have to look at other states.
You didn't even get to California yet, Illinois. Yeah. I mean, Pennsylvania. I mean,
Pennsylvania,
wait till they
our
get
error
here.
Rates on SNAP, all that, right? I mean, is it being accounted for? Is there collateral for these PPPs? Are the state agencies properly investigating and assuring that this funding is going to real organizations? You know what? We're going to find out. We're going to take responsibility for Pennsylvania, and we're going to do everything we can to assure that these monies are being properly allocated and pass legislation or provide oversight and investigations to check it out. And I know, fortunately, we have a great Attorney General in Dave Sunday, and we have a great Auditor General in Tim DeFore. And my guess is they're as concerned about this as all of us.
Well, it is scary, and the thing that puzzles me, if you are a so-called liberal and you want people to be taken care of by the government, and there's variations on that, why would you be okay with anyone stealing from the programs that are supposed to go to the needy? I'm not getting that whole part of it. I don't get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen it. In the SBA, they decided to decollateralize SBA loans during the course of the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. And so they just went to new companies, whomever, that really had no right receiving SBA, taxpayer-backed loans. And we said, and our chairman and all of us screamed, we're going to lose a lot here. This is going to be bad debted. And you know what? Lo and behold, over the course of a year and a half, there was $275 million in additional that was bad debted. But the Biden administration and the administrator at the time did it anyway in that way. So what they think they're doing, and this sounds a little bit cynical, but it's the reality. They think they're buying votes. They think they're looking the other way. They're just charging up federal dollars towards these areas, to these peoples, to these organizations, to these NGOs that don't even exist, and not saying a word to gain their favor.
What would happen? What would have happened with all of this mess that's being uncovered on every level, by the way, from the border to crime to illegals to fraud? Yeah. What would have happened if Kamala had won? It would have accelerated. What would happen if the Republicans weren't in charge of the House and the Senate?
I was actually just thinking that this morning. Imagine Tim Waltz as our vice president of the United States and Kamala having no oversight. Okay, these people just doing all they could to grow the size of government, grow their power, spend money, tax as much as they get away with. But it doesn't matter because they would run deficits as far as the eye could see. And by the way, under President Trump, we're actually down 30% in our annual deficit spending already, and there's more to come. So, we dodged more than a bullet. We dodged cannon fire.
Did we ever? Well, as you look at next year, give us a brief overview. I mean, Congress did not pass much legislation, and other than the big mediocre bill, which was important, actually critical, but it was critically important that it be passed. It's not perfect; it's mediocre, but that's legislation. What is on the agenda? And I, by the way, I don't dismiss doing nothing. That's what the founding fathers wanted. But at least from an oversight standpoint and from a cultural standpoint, what do you see the Congress being able to accomplish this year?
Oh, man. You know what? Honestly, so much. And I will just tell you this. We passed, I don't even know offhand, hundreds and hundreds of bills that went into the Senate And because you need 60 votes in the Senate, we received no cooperation there, except when we did reconciliation with the BBB and such. And we accomplished a lot, and that's why we did it in one big, beautiful bill. And come on, that was taxes, that was permit reforms for energy, it was military increase in pay, it was border security, it was all the things that truly needed to be done. We've reduced the size of, Biden administration hired 260,000 new employees. We've reduced that now by about 200,000, but it's still too high. But the successes from the border, crime, that's a success. Yep. I mean, you see some of those percentages. We've sent a different message, a different tone, pushed it, brought it to light. The savings I just mentioned, we're down over 30%. What President Trump is doing with pharma, I want to codify this, that all the pharma that we purchase, we get most favored nation, that we turn that into legislation so some future Democrat president doesn't change that. Our GDP growth, you see what's happening there.
Yes.
The BBB hasn't even kicked in yet, and yet we're at 4.3% last quarter. Energy prices are down. You're paying less at the pump, and it's going to be so meaningful to our competitive edge when it comes to manufacturing. Wages are up. We've been an assault on anti-Semitism. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, that was running rampant in some schools. I mean, there's a lot of kids that just simply feel safer, and they should. Your religion should not determine how you're treated by others in the United States of America. Troops received raises, and the regulatory reform has really been phenomenal. Yeah. But we have passed a good number of bills. But we're going to continue. I do my thing on my pillars. Constituent services, communications, legislation in the interest of all Pennsylvanians. Particularly my district, and we're great project managers. We've gotten very good at managing projects from infrastructure and transportation to even housing, our blight issues throughout my district, and other related economic projects, including energy and pipelines, things of that nature. But we're going to move forward with continued strong national security. We're going to have a big anti-fraud movement that I'm doing on my financial services subcommittee on oversight and investigations. Clearly, that's necessary on the federal level. Yeah. It appears perhaps primarily in blue states. But, from an economy standpoint, we need to now execute. One thing government doesn't do well, they set up plans, they set legislation, but they don't assure that they're executed throughout the agency. So from taxes to regulations to the types of savings, education. Our education system is a big part of our economic future. So that needs to be a focus. A proper allocation of funds through the states. From the Fed standpoint, interest rates, you started opening up the program with HUD. That needs to be cleaned up. Scott Turner's a friend of mine. He's the secretary of HUD. We're working together. Heck, they're meeting in the White House today or tomorrow, I think, on how to make housing more affordable.
Dan, let me ask you a question.
That's just a short list. Yeah,
there's so I know that you're right. That's a short list of so much has to be done after the disastrous Biden years. But will there be a reconciliation bill on the scale of the big mediocre bill this year coming up next year?
I think there will be. I think there needs to be. I mean, you got guys like John Kennedy saying, "What are we waiting for?" Of course. John Thune is a really good man. We've gotten to know him. Dave McCormick is close with him, and Dave's doing a great job there, of course. So I believe that will occur. I think Mike Johnson's very favorable. We need to look if we need to deliver.
Got to get rid of the filibuster in the Senate. It's going to happen on the other side. Get rid of it and let's get stuff done.
Well, I'm not against that either. Yeah. Look, we got to win the midterms by delivering on our promises. And of course, the media will make it out to be as horrible as they can possibly, paint it as dark as possible. The Democrats can do everything to stand in our way because they have no other policy. But we still need to deliver. And then we have to explain what it's going to be like if the Democrats take over the House. Yeah. And again, be afraid, be very afraid. I mean, the things I mentioned at the beginning. I mean, federalizing our elections, or at least trying to, impeaching the president, standing in the way, growing government, just trying to reverse the things that we're doing really strengthen our nation from from stem to stern for everyone.
Well, I want to thank you for all the work you've done this year. It's been a big year. We are turning the ship around. Lots more to do, and we're happy we have Dan Muser there to help it get done.
Well, thanks, Bob. Hey, I know you gave me a lot of time here, but why wouldn't the Democrat leadership say, you know what? Let's make a great year. Let's deliver. Let's make our economy strong. Let's hum, and then fight over who gets the credit. Why don't they do that?
They can't. They can't. It's insanity. That's why we have the Club for Common Sense.
Right.
We need the Sanctuary of Sanity because they're insane. They're insane.
All right. Well,
hey,
yeah.
We look forward to talking to you in the new year and seeing you in the new year.
Absolutely, my friend. You take care. Thanks for all you do.
Our Congressman, Dan Muser. We'll take a break and be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend, John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Well, what's Basiliga Hospitality, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. It's 3 great bar restaurants, more to come, including the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. They've got me thinking about their bone marrow and steak tartare appetizer almost every day. The Far Street Tavern, the reimagined neighborhood bar, following an amazing tradition on Far Street in the Trips Park section of West Scranton. The Queen City Tavern, completely rebuilt, gorgeous. Food and fun like they've never had an elephant. And then fine dining, yeah. A Terra 519. Can't wait to get there for this New Year's celebration. And the Stegmeyer Mansion. Old world elegance like you can't experience in Northeast Pennsylvania. Jack Delaney. He was 78 when we lost him November 28th. He was from Pittston. Born in that city. He was a graduate of Pittston High School. He served us in the U.S. Army Reserves and was a self-employed contractor. In retirement, he enjoyed spending time with his grandchildren and golfing. He's survived by his son, Jack, his daughter, Shannon, his grandchildren, and also survived by his longtime companion, Joanne David, sisters, and many other family members. John Jack Delaney. Harry Weiss. He was a psychiatric aide. He enjoyed deer hunting. He was 86 when we lost him on December 11th. He was from Danville. Born Mahoning Township, Montour County. He spent his lifetime in Montour County. He served us in the U.S. Army from 1956 to 1959. He was employed by Danville State Hospital as a psychiatric aide before retiring in 1994. He loved hunting deer and groundhogs. He was preceded in death by his wife, the former Lois Steffen, back in 2001. Tragically, also by a daughter back in 2022. Surviving our 2 daughters, 6 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, other family members, and an incredible legacy. Harry Weiss. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Oh, our weather, and that is brought to you every day by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. Ski, snowboard, snow tube, enjoy the lodge, and just have fun by the fire at the great Montage Mountain Resort. Channel 16's Joe Snedeker tells us, cloudy and windy with flurries and snow showers today. High mainly in the 20s, 28 degrees outside the studios as I speak. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 22. Wednesday, which is New Year's Eve day, snow and clouds, chance of snow showers. We could see a dusting to an inch or 2 by evening, high of 30. Thursday, New Year's Day, partly cloudy and cold, 25 degrees. That Good theme song for Montage Mountain. Our weather sponsor that lets you know what's happening. And when I think weather, I think Montage Mountain. What's happening up there? That's Dean Martin. Let it snow. Murph says from 1966. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Let's get right to the blower. Peter from Shavertown. How are you, Peter?
Hey, Bob. LTS. Merry
LTS
Christmas. Happy New Year.
Same to you, man. Same to you.
Hey, listen, I got to comment on the intro today with John Kennedy. He's one hilarious senator.
He's the best.
Funny guy, but I try to catch a lot of his judiciary hearing meetings because, he's always got something good to say.
Yeah.
It's just funny that a guy with such a twang and a Southern Nick accent could be a Rhodes Scholar, which a lot of people don't know about him, but he's a funny guy.
Yep.
And today you played a few that I had never heard before. I got a big chuckle out of him, so thanks for that.
I scour looking for those things because he's just so great. And I said, it's funny, we did the 9 o'clock hour with John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy, and we did Rodney at 11:05, equally funny.
Totally. Love them both. Them both. Hey, listen, the other thing I wanted to make a quick comment to do with the 2020 fraud, because I know you put up with the knuckleheads on the other side a lot, but I wanted to add some fuel to the fire, too. There were 60 national cases filed against various states and state officials challenging the voter fraud for that 2020 election. And the critical part of every case that the Democrats don't want to look at or understand, but was that the judges, who were overwhelmingly Democrat, ruled that the petitioners had no standing.
Yep.
Well, that automatically means there's no discovery. No discovery means you can't open the machines and you can't look at the democratic practices. And I think the testament to all that is, frankly, that, if you can't you can't open the machines, how are you going to find the fraud and verify whether it's free and fair? And a real testament to all of this, frankly, is the movie 2,000 Mules. I think that is an exceptionally well-researched movie.
And here's what bothers me. They always say this, Peter. Oh, well, that was debunked. No. In a lawsuit, they conceded certain points. And people took that to mean that it wasn't valid. And I say to them, well, you can't go by cell phone pings. Well, that's how they arrest drug dealers. Of course you can go by cell phone pings to determine location. And
exactly.
It's a shame that, again, another left-wing judge who was involved in that lawsuit against the people who did the movie and did the study, actually, they took and ran with it as though it was debunked, and the facts that they brought out were not debunked at all.
Yeah, that's not true at all. And by the way, those kind of shenanigans aren't much different than locally, because Luzerne County in the 2022 election, under election board chair Democrat, of course, Denise Williams, did the same sort of shenanigans where we had 48 out of 176 precincts in Luzerne County in that election that ran out of paper mysteriously, many by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then once they did a review of those 48 precincts, they realized 95% of them were Republican precincts. So you talk about
if you've got paper ballots, you would think that paper would be a thought. Providing
true,
paper,
true.
I'm just spitballing. I'd think about paper if I used paper ballots.
Hey, listen, all the best. Happy New Year, and I look forward to listening to you in 26.
And I look forward to talking to you. Thank you so much, Peter.
Very good. You bet.
Let's go to the next one. This is Bernie from Luzerne. Hi, Bernie. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine, Bob. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Hold on. Let me put. You hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Hey, I got just a couple questions about all the utility companies, like the water company, gas company, and the electric company. And they're all right now, the way I know it, is that they're all in it for profits, right?
Which is fine. That's the American system. I'm good with that.
That's the American. All right, here you go. I like the way you just said that. That's the American system. Now, since all of their equipment is on public property, Are they paying us rent for that? Now hold on, let me finish the rest of them in case I forget.
That's a good point.
Okay,
but go ahead, continue.
right, all right. Because if I park my car in say in Wilkes-Barre, they charge me for using that public property. Okay, and here's the other thing here. Now, like these roads where all the potholes and all that, since they're on public property and they're not paying, right? I know they're not paying for rent, and they should be. Or if they do damage to it, they should repair it, just like we do. If we do damage to public property, we have to repair it out of our own pockets.
The problem
Now,
is the local officials don't do a good, like I know in Scranton, our mayor does a horrendous job of coordinating with the utilities regarding pave cuts and paving process, and a
okay, hold on a
horrendous
second.
job in making them fix it right.
Now hold on here, now, Bob. I got another one here. Now, just the main thing is that rent. That stands out pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And for when they ask for an increase, or they say they need a $400 million and over the next 10 years, and they're going to increase our rates to get that money. Now, when they do whatever they do, build something or whatever on public property, is that stuff ours or is it theirs? And if it's neither, after they're done, do we get that increase back?
No.
Well, then who owns it? It stays right where it's at. They ask for it. That's what think about what I'm saying.
In a general sense, Bernie, the utility gets an easement, doesn't own it, but gets an easement, meaning the right to do whatever they need to do in a particular piece of property, your sidewalks, for example, but they don't own it. So they get the best of both worlds.
Okay, that's true, too. If I have a piece of property, I could get an easement, but I still have to pay taxes on it. That's rent.
Now, here's the only hitch in your giddy-up on the argument. All three great points. If they start paying taxes, more taxes, and utilities historically have not been taxed, a percentage of their revenues is what goes to government. But any amount of money that goes to government from the utilities will be reflected in your utility bill. So you'll pay the ratepayers will pay the taxes. So there's not a real win there for us.
Here's the win. Now, they've been like this for how many years now? Like 100 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now they owe back rent for 100 years. They always rent for 100 years.
But they'll get that money from the ratepayers, so you're just going to pay out of the other pocket.
Now, wait a minute. Here's another thing here. Now, I damaged my car out here because of the utility companies' sloppy, cheap work they do on these highways. They're better off not even paving them. I'd rather just drive on dirt like I used to. Or could I send them my repair bills to them to pay damages?
I would argue you could, yeah. It's a hard bar to pass because remember you also have the city involved or whatever municipality.
Right, we'll sue them too.
Okay.
We should all of us should get together and we should sue the city and the utility companies and the state for all this.
Well,
because there's a lot of cars out here. And it's dangerous. We got to, it's like playing dodgeball. Boy, you hit a bump. It's holy cow. I thought I lost the wheel or something. Then I get up and I don't have a muffler.
Well, the street I live in is like it's as if it was a strafed street in Fallujah.
But you see my point.
Yeah,
we gotta let them.
But you have to understand, though, Bernie, that anything that you get from the utilities will be reflected in your utility bills, unfortunately.
Well, there's a way around that, but I'm just like playing chess. We got to put him in checkmate, because here's the other thing I'm thinking. Since we need gas, we need water, we need electric, why can't all of that, every single penny we pay for that all year, say you spend $1,000 on water a year, that should be automatically taken off the federal income tax right off the top before the standard deduction.
Well, you got the right guy in the White House to ask for that favor.
Well,
he might do
well,
it.
hey, well, I got to look. I'm only a small guy. I'm yelling to you, and
All
you
right.
could yell pretty good. I'm really proud of you to be honest with you,
Thank you.
because most people couldn't survive what you survived. I'm glad you did what you did.
Oh, thank you, man. Bernie, I appreciate it, my friend. And we look forward to talking in the new year.
Now,
What?
okay, one more thing.
Quickly.
One more thing. I hope you have some great cigars next year and fine whiskey.
Oh well, I'll that. Those are two guarantees.
Okay. Oh, I mean, and just stay healthy through the whole year
Amen.
while you're doing that.
Amen. Thank you, Bernie, and you too, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for letting me talk.
All right, man. And by the way, all good points. All good points. Hey, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Murph says that's Whitney Houston from 1987. We're going to finish up with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. Auld Lang Syne from the Dean Martin Show, which we played yesterday. But this is my last day of the year to be with you, gang. And, you know, I love being with you and appreciate it. And all the interaction. By the way, Navy guy says, Bob, good luck suing a city or the utility. The response will be, you don't have to use our service or drive our streets. You assume some of the risk using them. I know. And it's hard. There's not, in an issue like that, and Bernie brought all kinds of great points up. But in the end, the ratepayers will pay for them. So, such is life. It's what is. And it's an unfortunate part of what is. Hey, final mention of our veterans today, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Jack Delaney, Pittston. Robert Green, Hazleton. Joseph Cavallari, Valley View area. Philip Matone, Blakely. Rick Williams, Clark's Green. And Harry Weiss of Danville. Our great veterans, men we lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Well, I don't know what you guys are going to do for New Year's Eve. Cutie has our plan. And I just thought, you know what? I told people say, like, oh, can we meet? And I said, here's the deal. I've delegated. I'm a very good delegator. I've delegated my social life to Cutie. So Cutie does the social life almost without fail. And I just follow along. It saves me so much work and headache that even if she, makes me go places I don't want to go once in a while, it still works out. And I'm with her, so that's okay. But we're looking forward. New Year's Eve means nothing to me. Literally nothing. I was telling people here, I was talking to Jeff Walker from the KRZ afternoon show, and I said, my New Year's is today, meaning after Christmas is over, that Monday. So 2026, we'll see. By the way, I got to give myself one pat on the back. I don't believe that I said 2024 once in 2025. I hope I could do the same thing next year. We'll see. But guys, I'm telling you, you know I love being with you. You know I love you. Even those people who just won't listen, at least you're hearing the show. Chuck from Garberdale says, I want to wish you and your listeners a safe and happy New Year. Let's just hope for the best. Remember this. In the end, you cannot control circumstances. You can only control how you react to them. Let's have a great year in 26. God willing, I'll be with you. I'm off next week, but I'll be back on the 12th if I am provided that opportunity. Happy New Year, guys. Gaveling to a close. For the last time in 2025, a great year. This meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Thanks for being a member.